What's howling internet? Major Nomad here. Nomads, welcome back. Hope you guys like that little intro I've been working on. But other than that, today we are going to... I've been a little late, but I wanted to compile something special for today. Today we're going to be reacting to Stellar Blade, the success, the modding that just added because the PC version just got added just recently, and it has been really doing well on Steam and been crushing the records, which is good. I've been meaning to play it, so do keep a lookout for that. I'm definitely going to be playing modded Stellar Blade because, hey, things are just better when you're able to mod it, and it even adds more to the value of the game. My 2 cents, but we're going to be looking into and reacting to that and unpacking all the good and, of course, the haters and the weird journals of the game who think it's not as good and them not liking it because, hey, we got a beautiful, attractive female protagonist that they want to hate on. But hey, to each their own, that's their problem. But now let us unpack the drama, the dubs, and the dumpster fires, one headline at a time. Let's get it, nomads. Alright, let's start with this. Bounding into Comics had just made and reacted to this just recently. Stellar Blade director rejects the idea of regulating adult mods once the game is purchased. It belongs to the user. Now to the director and or developer who said that, props to him, big facts. It's like saying, oh, we sold you the car, but now we don't have that many for sale, so what we want you to do is bring the car back here for people to test drive it and use it for test drive it how they want before that. So it's kind of like renting a car but not fully owning it or whatever. That is the most hilarious point of contention and take that some of these journals and whatnot have, which, as you can see here, that didn't go very well. Shout out to the Stellar Blade director sticking by the gamers because they know that's what puts food, the bread and butter, and the give back on investment that they made making this game, and we buying into it, becoming their consumers and supporters. Now that's how you make money and stick by the people you're trying to sell your product to. Look at this already right now. As you can see, many of them all agree with me and the rest of the gaming community. Finally, someone speaking the truth. Facts. Subscribe to I like some of these freaking GIFs. Content sensitivity managers at AA Studios are not happy about this. Well, then they don't have to be happy because guess what? They're not going to have their jobs too long and they're going to lose money, go bankrupt, and then they're not going to be able to make good games and whatnot for both their ideas and the ideas that can that us gamers like and will buy into. Of course, not when you involve politics in it, because that's what games are about, escaping reality and getting into a new world. But journals and people that get their politics involved in gaming, regardless of what side you're on, that doesn't put money on the table, and you're gonna alienate and push away the majority. Like they say, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And all the games are doing well right now is because they focused on what the gamers and the consumers are gonna like, and hey, that's all she wrote. That's how you do business. That's how you keep making more and better product and put food on your table. But I digress. I love this based. Oh yeah, very based. Nintendo about to launch an invasion of their studio. That is an attitude all devs should aspire to. I'm liking that, big facts. That's how you do it. I could already hear the clenching teeth on the seeding pronoun activist falling to cope with screening at anyone being an anti-hero. Yeah, I'm liking that one too. Appreciate the sentiment, but the inclusion of the Denvo crippleware speaks otherwise. That's a take. Base director, yep. I mean, it's pointless to waste of the time and money, and your reputation will go the way Nintendo's immediately, so bad idea. That's a very L take. I guess there's another one who has a very not so good mindset on business. At least they respect who owns the game. This is why they will do fine. Here comes the woke cult idiots are always making demands to try and affect people's single player game that they probably don't buy anyway. It's good. This director knows not to restrict modders. Tie the modders' hands and you will lose most of them. Big facts, because look at Skyrim, Fallout, and that. Those games would have been dead if it wasn't for the modders. The modders do not get enough credit, in my opinion. Shout out to them. Not as much as I like reacting to comments and whatnot on Twitter, aka X. I think let's hear it from the people that got the news from itself, to hear from the horse's mouth itself, should I say. Stellar Blade director rejects the idea of regulating adult mods. Once the game is purchased, it belongs to the user. Yep, and that's mindset is what's gonna make them a lot of money and be a big time gaming company and whatnot. That's what's gonna put your name up there. Now I like to, even the actor or the voice actor to Eve, Yoon Seo, is taken back by Xian's holiday spirit in Stellar Blade 2024 shift up. That's quite nice. Game director Hong Tae Kim has no interest in trying to please fans. W that. Creative interests, as not only does he believe it to be a fool's errand, big facts, but he is also a strong predominant of customer ownership. Well, facts, we buy the game, so like I said, you can't own something you bought. That is the most ignorant socialist mindset ever, and hypocritical too, because like they don't own something. Okay, that is goofy. Shout out to him for that. Again, Eve Young-hoon Seo pays a visit to Kea Jung Hai-wan in Stellar Blade 2024 Shift Up related. Shift Up CEO says he was following his instincts when designing sexy character for Stellar Blade and Goddess of Victory, Nikki. It's something that users like and whatnot, but I also do it because I like it. Good taste. And that's very good. Kim, who also serves as the CEO of Stellar Blade developer Shift Up, offered his thoughts on the concept of modding, especially as it pertains to Eve and company during the recent interview given to South Korean video game news outlet. This game, amidst the largest conversation regarding the ins and outs of the game's recently released PC edition, as machine translated by ChatGPT, the director was at one point pressed by the host. The protagonist Eve is a very appealing sales point and of herself. Because of that, she has also been subject to preconceived notions, especially overseas. One common issue with the character critique games is data modification, specifically the use of mods. What is your stance or policy regarding this? In turn, Kim straightforwardly asserted, we don't have to have any set policy on this. In fact, data modification can range from simply increasing the game's speed to completely altering the gameplay itself, as long as it's not being abused. I believe mods can play a positive role by expanding the scope and experience of the game. Big time facts. Very good mindset. So overall, I view them favorably. He added that said there are cases where things approach hacking or interfering with proper functioning of the game. Fair enough, that's true. In some cases, we ask that users be mindful when applying such changes, and that's a fair enough assessment. I agree. Related, Near producer says team established hard rules for character creation to try and avoid international outrage. They could go suck it for all I care. Who cares what a few weirdos, wokies, and gaming journals had to say? I mean, come on. It's somebody's freedom of choice how they should play the game they paid for. But I digress. Further, Kim opined modders still need to ramp up their firepower a bit it's still lacking at this point. I think the official content still has the upper hand. It's still pretty good even if you just want to play the base game. I've heard good things from people that played it and streamers. Since we don't provide any official modding tool, it's unlikely we see total conversations of the game, but I'm hopeful we'll start seeing mods that subtly change the way the game is enjoyed. He said, of course, new outfits or monster visuals would be great, but be really excited to see mods that expand the player's experience in a meaningful way. That's a pretty good fair take. To this end, Kim was then pressed for his stance on adult-related skins, with his host asking him whether nude patches should be regulated, or do you view them as a matter of user's choice? My goodness, man. Standing firm, the Shift Up CEO affirmed Stellar Blade is rated for adults only, exactly, not rated T for teens or E, you goofs, you goofy goobers. So I don't think there's a strong justification for regulating such mods. Realistically, there's no offensive way to regulate them anyway, he admitted. As you probably know, mods have never truly been under full control of the developers. Big time facts. What I am concerned about, though, is not so much the existence of such patches, but the idea of people profiting from them by selling them at high prices. I'd much rather see people enjoying a culture of creation together, like a big party where everyone contributes. Man, I'm really liking this guy. I'm definitely, if he keeps his mindset up and doesn't fall prey to what I call pointless or little bit of money, or how did that mafia guy Carlo Gambino in the Gotti movie, and this is my favorite phrase and I use it to this day, on the people that bribe gaming companies and or investors, etc., because I'm sure they need a good budget to create a lot of these modern games now. They don't take what Carlo Gambino call it, not tempted by this smart man, not tempted by foolish quick money. But I digress. Closing out this portion of their time together, Kim declared, ultimately it's a matter of the user's freedom. Yup. Once a person owns that game, how they choose to enjoy it, it's entirely up to them. Big time facts, exactly what we've been saying. But a lot of these strange people have a mindset that goofy socialist mindset, I call it, how they think, oh, just because you own something, it doesn't completely, you own nothing, be happy, and you have no control over it, even if you put your money to it, which this beautiful country, America, was founded off on. But not to get too political here, but they just don't get it. If that's how they feel, then you don't have to buy the game. Go try to support a company, if they're even around, a company who thinks they should have full control over the game and what you should do after paying for it. But it's whatever. People have their strange mindsets. I'm not going to get into all that, but I digress. People be strange, though. So no, we do not have plans to regulate that kind of content. He concluded, I just trust that everyone is a mature member of society and will act within common sense, being mindful of sensitive or anti-social content. Fair enough, fair enough. This was a good take. I'm glad he answered the person with such content and stance on his thoughts about modding and improving the game on PC, because hey, PC has a lot of great features and can do a lot of things, including improving and making cool outfit or clothing for character mods and whatnot, and that's a very positive thing, whether it's more risque type of outfits or clothes, more NSFW type of content per se with the outfits and the clothes, whether people like them or not. That just makes me, when I get it, I'm gonna definitely mod it and kind of go with being more pro modding on this game, because when I get it on here, I'm gonna have more of a modded gameplay at first too, maybe a regular one afterwards, we'll see. But I just want to help express my opinion too and my content on being pro anti gaming control and anti woke gaming culture trying to ruin the beauty of video games and the characters, because let's face it, we all want attractive characters. We don't want no butt ugly characters who look like they were put together by clay and that by middle schoolers, or they look pretty much busted by artists who never drawn or made up any cool character. Regardless, hell, some of these designs that these newer games like Dragon Age the Veilguard came out, because let's be honest, the freaking character creation was not that great, so to speak, on the character design and looks when it came to customizing a beautiful, attractive female character. And everyone roasted it for it, and for that, it's like, wow, a freaking AI could come up with better character design than that. Like, come on. You could go ask all these AI apps or do a text thing to make a better character design and looks for a gaming character, so to speak. And it could just come with it right out of the fly. That goes to show you that doesn't pay, and even AI knows what pays and what's good for business. This is why those people have their day job and they're not making a lot of cool exclusive art or video games and animation characters that really knows how to sell and what really knows what's good, how to keep a game and characters popular and even more towards a remarkable likeness and franchise. But on to the next. And now what we got here, the official Stellar Blade Twitter, aka X account, that has thanked and congratulated the people for making it a milestone of 3 million plus Steam PC buyers. Let's unpack this one. Okay. To all the players around the world who have shown love for Stellar Blade, we extend our deepest gratitude and respect. Aww. Look at that. Over 3 million copies sold, and I'm sure counting. That is very freaking dope. And it is good too, because me, I'm a bit of a PC snob now, but let's face it, when you put more than just on a one console or so, say PS5 or Xbox, when you have it on as everything as you can, including the all three PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, it's going to do well in sales too, because you got more of a variety to sell to and more fans to engage with it, because not everyone unfortunately likes or wants to spend a lot of money on a good PC or even a decent budget PC around the $800 to $1,000 price on it. So besides the point though, can't wait for the sequel. Facts, and this must be one of the clothing mods. Big time. I like the name. Let's see here. Hypnotic. That's great and all, and I am happy for you, but we all really want to know how many players engage, please. That's how we truly determine how the product is doing. Sales doesn't matter. Thanks. To a degree, it kind of does, because that means the people who have bought and supported this, but he does have a good point there. It's good to show all, not only the sales, but the number of players. I'm sure the player base is pretty big and doing pretty well and is only getting bigger day by day. So I'm assuming it's doing pretty freaking decent, to say the least. Or pretty good, should I say, but pretty decent, to say the least. You guys are great. Never listen to the woke Bolsheviks. I agree with that sentiment. I already like that one. I agree with that sentiment big time. We'll stay on guard and wait for the most deserved sequel. Same. Facts, I agree. Congrats and thank you for an amazing game. This cosmetic looks nice. I'm assuming this is a mod. I have never played the game, so I assume it's a mod. Clothing mod. Thanks, Eve. Design is incredible, and the game itself is one of my favorites. Same. Look at this, doubled up. Bought it both on PlayStation and PC, it looks to be. Love seeing Sony's single-player games do good. Fact, same. I like some of these GIFs that came out. Look at them freaking dancing the game character GIFs. That's what I'd be doing right now. happy that this is doing really well and making good profit for the company. Now, to really hit it home, Stellar Blade on PC hit 1 million sales 19 times faster than on PlayStation 5. That is pretty impressive. The power of the Master Race Gaming PC, as they say. Stellar Blade has proven that point means nothing to a good game when with the recent PC launch of the post-apocalyptic sexy slasher hitting 1 million sales in just 3 days. Wow, and just that's crazy. To put that into perspective, when Stellar Blade was released on PlayStation 5 in April 2024, it almost took 2 months to hit the same milestone. It goes to show you, maybe invest in more of the PC release a bit faster. Maybe that should come first, to say the least, because you gotta admit, just that in 3 days versus 2 months, that is a pretty big freaking difference. Let's keep it a stack. It helps that the game is being bolstered by hundreds of lewd mods, which form the backbone of the community in the PC market. True, it definitely does play a big factor. Stellar performance and post on the South Korean site Ruly Weeb. It was revealed that Stellar Blade has secured 1 million PC sales in just 3 days, decimating the 58 or so days it took the game to hit 1 million sales on PlayStation 5. That brings the total sales for Stellar Blade up to a substantial 3 million units, as we just talked about. The upgraded version of Stellar Blade has been turning heads and has become the #1 PlayStation to PC game to ever be released, pulling in a whopping peak player count of almost 200,000 users on Steam. Like Hypnotic said, he wanted to know the current amount of users playing on Steam. Well, there we got the Steam numbers, 200,000 users, and most likely plus counting. It goes to show you, you make good content, you get rewarded. Now, the last thing we have here, as to the Stellar Blade success, and of course, the anti-pro success of Stellar Blade, aka the wokies, the mixed feelings, and the haters, we have a little bit of that to dig into. Let's get. But Stellar Blade PC release finally convinced me to try it out, but after its Steam Next Feast demo, I'm going straight back to Elden Ring Night Rain. This is by Ali Jones. Let's see what this guy has to say. Ahead of Stellar Blade's PC release, its Steam Next Fest demo was dominating the charts. Its launch earlier this week might have kicked it off the list of biggest demos, but with the free version of the game still available, I decided it was time to see what the fuss was about. Stellar Blade's PC demo is a free version that leads up to the end of the first major boss fight. There's an intro cutscene, a brief tutorial, and some exploration that lets you start to get to grips with the game's extensive upgrade tree, and for a game of the size that's dropping its PC port in the same week as Next Fest, it's relatively clunky demo in the first boss fight. There's even a second battle that you're thrown into a few hours into the rest of the game. The two fights were easily the highlight of what I played of Stellar Blade, the satisfying chilling of successful parry or the ballistic red lines of a perfect dodge. Both encourage a deeper connection with the combat than simply holding down the guard button or spamming dodge roll. There's decent weight behind the boss attacks, fitting of statures that tend to tower over Eve. The trouble is, I'm fighting through much better bosses elsewhere right now, and this demo is nowhere close to convincing me to make the jump. Well, the difference between the demo and that's like a taste of it. And I can't believe bro just said I tried fun, but I misspelled being depressed and rolling for my life. I have not played Elden Ring Night Rain, but from what I have heard and whatnot, the boss fights are definitely really difficult. I mean, if you really like your really difficult boss fights and end up being dead and after a few tries getting somewhat close to really hurting the boss without playing with your friends or by yourself. It's like, oop, 2 shots or a couple shots, oop, dead, oop, dead, oop, dead. That's very frustrating to people that don't want to have to deal with an ultra hard gaming experience and want a chill single player game to play that still has a bit of a challenge to it depending on the difficulty settings you have. But also imagine leaving a spa to go back to a war zone and calling it an upgrade. Seems like what I'm hearing from this. The man tried a power fantasy and ran back to trauma bonding with bosses that 2 or 3 shot you. And I don't think if you do have much control of the difficulty it takes to take them out, or it's just all one difficulty. You play it, and if you ain't at a decent level and have really good gear, you're gonna get got real quick. Now, I've been in meaning to try it, Elden Ring Night Rain myself, but it's definitely not going to be too good if I'm just starting out and then I get 2 or 3 shotted by monsters right away when just starting out the game. That doesn't sound like that much fun to me. Now, I don't mind challenges here and there, especially if I could change the difficulty, even if I wanted to play on hard or very hard, but come on. Not everyone wants to be a try-hard over AI freaking opponents. But I digress. The Stellar Blade PCU release was briefly the biggest demo next feast, but it's been overtaken by controversial Souls-like MMORPG revival that shares at least one thing with Stellar Blade itself, as Stellar Blade PC gets booted off of Steam Next Fest charts. A sci-fi FPS that's everything I actually wanted from Starfield is rising up to take its place. Stellar Blade is already the 3rd top-selling game on Steam. Wow, more than a week before launch, and its demo has reviews and players most full games would kill for. Exactly. And then he says, I'm working my way gradually through Elden Ring Night Rain with my friends at the moment, and it's indicative of the problem that I had with Stellar Blade. Almost immediately, while there's competent Souls-like in there, it's very clearly a game that relies on style over substance. That's clear from its opening cutscene, and while there's a little need to rehash the conversation about Eve's physique here, shift up fond many more ways to show off visually than in other departments. Style over substance, huh? Funny, because their review had neither of this in my 2 cents, but I'll leave that as is. Everyone's entitled to their takes and opinions. Its flashy, set-piece filled intros and its gradually gory cutscenes quickly gave way to a dark, muddy city that was dangerously close to the iconic PS3 brown color palette. Is that right? Even in that relatively close quarters environment, performance was an issue, and despite outshining the recommended specs, I had to scale the graphics way back before I could get free of some distracting stuttering. I'm assuming he means in the game. Elsewhere, it wasn't long before I was being waylaid by the level design. Having an enemy lying in wait behind the door might have been an homage to Dark Souls, but the floaty physics puzzles are certainly a feature I don't really need from my Souls-like. The style of Stellar Blade's big moments is decent, but the substance of its moment-to-moment combat and traversal doesn't live up to the checks. Its cutscenes are riding. Eve's attacks are lightweight compared to her finishing moves. Her response to getting smacked around a boss arena disappointingly clunky in the face of apparent agility everywhere. I'm just gonna continue reading. It's hard while playing Night Rain in the background to not compare the two, and despite the chaos and rapid pace of the Elden Ring spinoff, there's no question which is a better game. Granted, Shift Up is making a big leap into less familiar territory with Stellar Blade, while From Software is adapting technology it spent years honoring to laser edge. honing to a laser edge. Stellar Blade is by no means a bad game, and nor is it's entirely fair compared it to its anything Elden Ring shaped, but it's certainly not good enough to have justified the discourse that swirled around it, or to convince me to abandon my Elden Ring Night Rain, abandon my Night Rain condemned for Eve. Well, hey, some people just like a harder challenge, some people like it more chill, but I think it's a good balance of both. Just switch the difficulty, in my opinion, if you want more of a harder challenge. Now, as it's first coming out, maybe it has little bits of glitchy issues or like stutters, but not everything is going to be perfect off rip. I'm sure if there's any issues, they're already being fixed. Let's keep it a stack. And more for the world, we got another reviewer by a not so happy person on the success of Stellar Blade. It seems Stellar Blade review, not my favorite rendition of sexy, super scoped up soldiers saving mankind by Molly Taylor, published just yesterday. Let's see what we got here. PC Gamers got your back. Our experienced team dedicates many hours to every review to really get to the heart of what matters most to gamers, find out more how we elevate games and hardware. Is that right, huh? We shall see. Listen to this person. You could tell she's mad. Stellar Blade's opening hours are so mirrored by atrocious level design that I can only assume people are plowing through for the sake of seeing protagonist Eve bum jiggle around in a skin-tight suit for a bit longer. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Plus, the mods, if you think that's bad, lady, freaking look at the people modding it. Even though that is very positive and some people like that, and there ain't nothing wrong with that because it's a person-to-person's personal choice and take on how they want to play the game. I digress. Do I blame them? Not necessarily, but it's a mighty tough beginning to get through before things start getting good, and they do eventually. Though even after 30 hours, I still couldn't shake the feeling that it was trying just a little too hard to be near on horny steroids. Really? Really? Okay, that's a fun take. Oh man. After all, its running plot is almost identical the end of the Earth as we know it now, populated by monstrous alien life forms, scantily clad woman fighting to reclaim the planet and save humanity along a drone companion soundtracked by eerie female vocals that almost sound parallel to the horrors of the world. Look at that. Now listen, I've been in these trenches before. I've been playing Shift Up's other title, Nikki Goddess of Victory, since 2023, and I am not new to the developer's particular brand of goonery. If you're new to it, however, Stellar Blades has ass shots, jiggle physics, and barely their outfits out of the wazoo. Even though they're pretty decent looking or whatnot. Does the world or its characters ever acknowledge this bar one backstreet merchant? No, it's bizarre Jackto position in a game that so heavily sexualizes the undeniable glamorous Eve, despite being a wholly sexless personality existing in a sexless universe. In fact, Eve has very little personality at all. The same is true of supporting cast Adam and Lily, who, despite me wanting to know more about them, never really offer up much information. Stellar Blade also does very little towards building any rapport between the three, yet often expects me to believe that the ragtag trio shares heaps of chemistry. They essentially appear in Eve's story with brief explanation, and then the game acts like is like I was supposed to care all along. I often wasn't moved by harder hitting interactions between Eve and her companion because I wasn't depth-fed many relationship building moments to get me invested in their dynamic. Adam and Eve's story and world building is easily Stellar Blade's weakest point and lessens the impact of its plot twist. It doesn't help that it's narratively so close to both Nier games that I couldn't help but compare its attempt at a similar plot rather unfavorable. Hell, even compared to Nikki's own flavor of post-apocalyptic landscape with hot military women, it didn't feel quite up to snuff for my liking. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I think there's more to it than her opinion on that. I think she's just a bit jelly over Eve, and hey, who's to blame? Eve's is a hardcore baddie, freaking runway designer model type stuff, in my opinion. Where Stellar Blade does differ from its inspiration, however, it is the combat. I went in expecting a similar hack and slash style to Automata, only to discover something a little more in between a Souls-like and Devil May Cry style action. Different enemies sport a variety of attack patterns, which Eve can dodge or parry. A perfect parry sends sparks flying. Cool. Accompanied by an incredibly satisfying ching sound as her sword collides with her opponents. A perfect dodge seems to slow down as Eve flips around the enemy with the opportunity to swoop in and get a follow-up attack. It did take me a little while to find my groove. There's a slight delay to the parry button that takes some getting used to, and the early hours sees very few tools in Eve's toolbox to repel and counter hits. Handedly, Stellar Blade sports a slightly easier story mode, difficulty accompanied with a toggleable option to slow down time when a parry or dodge window incoming. The input flashes up on the screen. The game lets you freely switch difficulties at will, as well as turn the slow-mo inputs on and off, which is a nice touch. It's a little sporadic when it wants to work. If you're mashing away, for example, the game might not have ample opportunity to tell you to stop spamming the attack button and block for once in your goddamn life, but it's a handy option for those who want to give the game a try, aren't well versed in the way of the parry window. Things are also dramatically improved once Eve gets a hold of all manner of tree abilities and gear to enhance or complement certain playstyles. I was able to make a dodge and parry windows a little more lenient and pumped a bunch of gear into improving my beta skills. Special abilities that require building up a meter through attacking and blocking before being able to unleash powerful attacks. Though I'd argue nothing about Stellar Blade's combat reinvents the wheel, it does feel mighty satisfying once I started to get into the flow of things. I got a whole lot of enjoyment out of rushing into a foe, perfect parrying several attacks in a raw row and then unleashing a flurry of strikes in response. It's one of the game's stronger points, and getting to grips with its system is one of the main things that kept me pushing through of its sloggier levels. Yes, Stellar Blade's level design is a bit all over the place. It rears its ugly head. The most in the game's tutorial level, Eidos 7, I'm usually a bit of a yellow paint apologist, but it's so apparent at the beginning of the game. I was shocked that I not only noticed it, but was bothered by it. Everything gets yellow paint, a secret path, big streaked on the corner wall. Need to cross a bridge, yup, a spludge on that bad boy. 2 branches path, screw it, stick some yellow paint on both of them. It's like a little quirk, in my opinion, if that's the case. All it does is highlight how poorly EDO 7 flows as a level. I found myself regularly getting lost and confused about where I had already been, and a Home Depot's worth of paint cans hardly made things easier to... It does improve once I'm unleashed into larger areas like the Wasteland and the Great Desert, or herded into more linear levels like Abyss Lavore. In fact, the smaller levels like Abyss Lavore were where I enjoyed Stellar Blade the most. Tightly designed areas with nuggets of world building and some special ways of tracking combat in early level has me only able to use ranged weapons, completely dispelling both my sword and the drone scan I've been using as a navigation crutch prior to this, were my personal highlights, and I'm looking forward to going through them again in the NG playthrough, because despite my overall it's fine attitude of it all, I did enjoy Stellar Blade and totally down to run it back to pick up all the things I've missed the first time. The game has tons of costumes for one, which I'll admit is one of my biggest video game weaknesses. Is that right? Even though she's scantily clad in a lot of them, even if you don't fork out for any deluxe editions or DLC, there are ridiculous number of nanosuits to find and collect. There are even accessories, hairstyles, and if there's one thing I do love, it's playing dress up with fictional characters. Even though she was talking smack about it, I find that funny. And apparently she gave it 68, blaming it on atrocious levels and Eve's jiggle physics, while the game cracked Steam's top 192k concurrent players and 3 million copies sold. Molly spent her time counting jiggles and dead bodies. We counted smooth parries, tight combos, and 500,000 sales in days, and how fast it went to 3 mil. Plus, at it being 3 million now and counting. No shame in using visuals to sell, but don't sleep on the core gameplay under it, is what I gotta say to that one. When she said Stellar Blade tries a little too hard to be near Automata on horny steroids. Okay, I'll admit that one was a little funny of a negative take. But from finesse is precisely what shifts like PC sales can't fake. 3 million sold with a massive concurrent players. It's shifting bodies, not just stats. Okay? I mean, check this out, the stats. This is today's concurrent stats. Players right now, the 24-hour peak, 157.793k, 192.078k. That goes to show you. But that is all I had right now. Do let me know your thoughts and takes on the comments. Appreciate you, nomads. Until next time, peace.